Welcome everyone to another episode of Regular Guy Barbecue, brought to you by our favorite people, the CSC Entertainment. Now, we've been getting a lot of messages and a lot of feedback about, oh, we need to see ribs. So guess what we're making today? Baby back ribs.
I thought we were making a cake.
You know, I should probably do that. I mean, what's better than barbecue than a cake, right? Yeah. Alright, so, baby back ribs, we're going to do that. Now, one thing about ribs, when you're doing ribs, is most ribs, especially baby backs, don't have an overwhelming amount of meat because there's a lot of bone involved, yeah? So for your fat content to be in there, it's a little tough to do. Also, ribs can be a very hard, tough cut of meat. So the technique we're going to be using today to help us out to deal with all that is the marinade. Now you've seen us marinate before. Isn't that what you do when you're square dancing? Everybody, marinate. We're going to use our cooler as we've done in the past. You've seen that before, right? So we're going to show you what we're going to do for our baby back rib marinade. Get some things out of the way. Now you'll see on the table here, we've got, maybe a quarter of a pound or so of sliced ginger. Now we're not going to peel it or anything because none of this is going to go into our food, but we want maximum flavor capacity. Yes, yes. And here we've got an onion that we've loosely chopped. Again, these don't need to be cut up real fine and fancy because they're not going to go in the food either. So we just put them right there. We ain't eating those. Limes, okay? Something I'm going to show you about limes. If you do this before you cut them, okay? And lemons too, and oranges, and tomato. No, I wouldn't work with a tomato so good. If you roll them around and push down on them a little bit, what that's going to do is that's going to help soften up the insides a little bit. So when you actually do cut them and squeeze them, the juice comes out a little easier. So that'll save you a little headache. So we're literally just going to squeeze. And why am I using 10 lemons or 10 limes, whatever these green things are? I'm using 10 limes because they literally were 10 for $1. So I have 10 using 10. Okay. All right. So I'm not going to bore you to death with showing you how to squeeze limes because you can do that. You know how to do that stuff. We'll get those squeezed in there and we'll come back. So as you can see there, we got all our limes squeezed in, and we even threw some of the limes in. Why not? Sure. We're not going to eat that anyway, right? Here comes some of our minced garlic. Throw a little bit of that in there. Oh, look at that garlic going there. That's nice stuff, huh? All right. Just add a little tart, some apple cider vinegar, maybe, I don't know, a few tablespoons, and that one's empty, so no, don't throw that one. That's the glass one, right? Yeah, don't do that.
You told you that last time.
Oh, throw the glass one. Yeah, yeah, no. Jalapeno peppers, pickled jalapenos. Let's throw some of them in there.
Why? Because we had them in the fridge.
Because they was in the fridge, and we like the jalapeno flavor. Okay? No, for God's sakes. All right, now here comes our base of our marinade for today. Soda, orange soda. And I like using orange soda. I also like using orange juice, other times, because the soda, nice orange citrusy types of flavors, even though this is a sugary one, but whatever. Gives it just a nice flavor to pork. So we're using that. And of course, we've also got some apple juice. We're going to add quite a bit because we've got a lot of racks to cook, a lot of racks to marinate. So we're going to use some apple juice too, because again, that goes very nicely with pork as well. Now you don't have to use both if you don't want to. We just happen to have both, so we're using both. And again, because we need a lot of marinade. And here's a little Worcestershire sauce, a few tablespoons of that just to make it fun. Last but not least, our favorite bonding adhesive, cracked ground pepper. There we are, a little bit of that in there, just to make it fun. Grab yourself a spoon. If you don't have a spoon, grab yourself a stick. Get the leaves out of there, because it's fall. And we get a little stir, yeah? A little stir. So there's our marinade that we're going to use. Alright, so we're all done with that. Now we're going to go and prep our ribs. So here's one package of our ribs, and we got these again. We got these at our local, well, it's a big store. It's a chain. There's 3 racks of baby backs, and we're going to be doing 6 total. We're just going to show you 3 because we don't want to bore you to tears.
I don't got space either.
Well, I got a lot of space, but it's all between my ears and I can't get the ribs in. So, here's 3 racks of ribs. Now let's take a look at these racks a little bit. You can see, like I told you before, earlier in the video, there's meat on these, but it's not overwhelming. There's fat in these, but again, it's not overwhelming. There's not a huge amount of fat in there. It's a relatively thin fat cap. If you wanted to trim a little bit of this off, you know, there's not much to it. Take your knife and do a little side slice, and there it is. Okay. Now, here's the debate of the century when it comes to cooking ribs. A lot of people will tell you, oh, but you've got to take the membrane off the back side. And then other people will tell you, oh, you have to leave the membrane on. That's the rule.
This stuff?
Yeah, there's a membrane on the back, and I'm going to show you that. The first rule about barbecuing that I can tell you, the most important rule that you'll have to learn when it comes to barbecuing. The biggest rule is, it's your rules, it's your barbecue, it's your meat, you paid for it. When somebody else pays for the meat that you're cooking, let them tell you what to do. Until then, meh. Alright, so we're going to talk about how to get the membranes off of these things, because I like taking the membrane off.
That's the silver skin stuff, right?
That's correct. You can hear also referred to as silver skin. I like to take them off for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think it's a whole hell of a lot easier to eat them once they're done. And chewing through that silver skin can be tough to do. But more importantly than that, I find the silver skin tends to hold back some of your dry rubs and your marinades. They're just not going to penetrate that silver skin, that membrane. So I like to take them off. Okay, now you can see on this one's already kind of starting to peel up a little bit. That's a good thing. That saves us a little bit of work. I can't never grab a hold of these things when I have gloves on, especially. But
and with being cold outside,
it does not help.
Cold.
Yeah, you can see that I'm having a little trouble grabbing a hold of it. So one of the techniques I'll use is to try to use a spoon to do it, and that's not helping me either. But if I can get a hold of that sucker, and it's starting to come. See that though? Yeah, this is going to hold back all of your flavors. They're not going to penetrate the meat on this side. And we're all about having flavor, just not Flavor Flav. Not that I don't like Flavor Flav, just don't need them in my barbecue, okay? Boy, that's a tough one. That is a, you see how hard this stuff is to, I mean, trying to chew through that. I mean, holy
That's
moly.
not on your teeth.
Yeah, now there is a compromise that you can do. And I've seen this technique done a lot on different videos that I've watched. Boy, I don't know if I'm going to get that one off that way.
You might be doing the technique.
I might have to on this one, yeah. One of the other techniques, though, I saw a guy do more than once, was he would take and score the silver skin, the membrane. He'd take his knife and cut back and forth across and make slits in it. Now, that will give you some penetration of your marinade. It'll give you some penetration of your flavors. And that's perfectly fine to do that, too, if that's what you want to do. Again, rule number one, your meat, your rules.
As long as you eating it.
Yeah, that's right. I think if I can get a hold of it now, I think I got it started. And this can be tough, so with a little practice, you'll get better at it. Look at that. There we go.
That's nice and cold.
Nice. Look at that, huh? That's much better than trying the other way, because I was just struggling with that one. There we go. Now we're getting the hang of it. There we are. Take that. I win. All right.
That's like a rinse and replay worthy.
Let's put it up again, shall we? In slow motion. All right. So that gives you an idea of how we're going to prep these ribs. We're going to do the other 5 racks. We'll get them out, get them all prepped like that. If you want to trim some of this off, you can. You don't have to. That's perfectly fine.
See the difference.
Yeah, look at the difference. See how kind of shiny that one is? So you can see more of the fat. That's going to let that dry rub get right down in there. And just get in there and flavor that meat for you, just the way you want it. All right, so we'll get these prepped, and we'll come back and show you the next step. So this last one here, as you can see, it looked like the silver skin was already off of it. I'm having a little trouble trying to find it. So you know what I did? I employed that technique that I've watched and never tried. We just put some slices in the bottom of that. If the skin is there, it'll help. If the skin's not there, it won't hurt. So there's our second pack of 3 racks of ribs. They're all silver skinned. They're de-skinned, demembraned. We added another half a gallon of apple juice to our bucket just because it's getting full. We got lots of meat to cook. So, pretty easy, self-explanatory what we do with this, right? Take your ribs, shove them in the juice, get them marinating. Now, in case you haven't seen one of our previous videos where we've marinated meat in this cooler, one of the reasons that we decided to use a cooler instead of a bucket is, number one, the missus don't like it when I fill her refrigerator up with 5-gallon buckets. We have to be able to keep this stuff cold, so what better way to do that than with a cooler?
And
right?
outside in Wisconsin.
Yeah, well, fortunately now that it's the middle of October and it's gotten colder out, our evening temperatures have been down in the 30s, sometimes even the 20s. So we're not even going to add any ice to this. Where the hell did the lid go?
It's over
Oh,
there.
there we go, there it is. So we're literally just going to let these sit in here overnight outside in our cooler. Now the stuff's all cold that's in there. Everything came out of the refrigerator. It's not going to get above 40 degrees outside today because it's just bloody cold. So everything should be good overnight. So we're going to put them to bed, just like we always do. Put the lid on, it's going to bed. Into the smoking shed we go for a little nap. There we are. Just as simple as that. Now, tomorrow when it's cooking time, we're going to show you a little bit different technique. One of the things that I did, here, let me backtrack a little story behind these ribs. One of the places that we like to go up north on a regular basis, the wife and I will go for a weekend. I talked to some of the employees and they found out we had this barbecue channel. And they said, hey, maybe you could bring us some barbecue. And I said, you know, that's a heck of a good idea. So I went out the next week and I bought 6 racks of baby back ribs. Just gonna cook them up, make them for the employees, you know, separate them, do a little feed for those guys, because they treat us so nice there. Unfortunately, after talking to the general manager, COVID strikes again. The general manager said, unfortunately, due to COVID right now, we can't have anybody bringing food in from the outside and so on and so forth. Now, we do all the techniques that we can to make sure our food is food safe, COVID safe. We wear gloves. We don't, excuse me, sneeze on the board. Oh, shit. No, but we do go out of our way to do that. I've worked in SQF3 certified buildings for many years, but out of respect for the building, respect for the employees, respect for the management there, we couldn't bring them. So, what we're doing instead is we're cooking them for you guys. Well, for you to see. I'm going to eat them. She's going to eat them. We've got a few friends coming over. They're going to eat them this weekend. Neighbor's having, what do you call it, the haunted house. So he's going to have some folks over. We're going to spread the love, spread the food, make everybody taste good, taste food that tastes good, and make them happy. Why do I feel like I'm trying to write a song that's really bad? Anyway, so tomorrow, dry rub, smoking them, and we're going to show you a technique that I started getting into before I got distracted by the squirrel story. Here's the problem. Come on in the shed here for a minute. I want to show you something. What the heck is leaking? Oh, I know what it is. Okay. As you can imagine, when you lay a rack of ribs out there about this long, give or take a little, we're not going to be able to get 6 racks on our smoker, are we? Mm-mm. We're also doing some other foods that King Kong's going to have to be cooking, so we can't put them on there, right? Now, with one of the previous videos you saw, we did add a second level to our smoker, a barrel smoker that we built.
That should actually be out already.
Yeah, that should be on already. If you aren't sure what I'm talking about, go back and check out the video.
I think it came out today that we're recording this.
It did, that's true, Friday. Go check out the video that we do that talks about the barrel smoker, how to build one, how to work on it, whatever you want to call it. We've added a second rack to that. The problem is we still can only put a few racks of ribs on the top rack because we're going to be using a water pan to marinate or to moisturize our meats as they cook. So then I sat and thought to myself, well, how on God's green earth are we going to make this? We don't have the monster anymore. King Kong's going to be used for something else. We've got another grill, but we're not going to smoke ribs on that. Then it struck me. I have a plan. If you want to see what that plan is, stay tuned, because we're going to show you tomorrow. Good night, everybody. Say good night, Rick. Right, so guess what day it is? It's the next day after the beginning of our video. We're ready to get started cooking the baby back ribs. You guys ready to see what we got going on?
Ooh.
Everybody shake your head. Yeah, okay. So, they've been sleeping nicely overnight in our nice food. And there they are. There we go. There's our ribs. Baby back, baby back, baby back ribs. So, now this problem has been stewing in my head for several days since we started talking about doing this shoot. It's, what are we going to do with 6 racks of ribs? Oh, they're already getting tender. Look at that. Marinade did its job right. Get out of here. Man, no mascots allowed. So, here's our ribs. We'll fish them all out.
Jackie.
I love the fact that the nice cool weather we've got here in October makes it so I don't have to refrigerate, because it got down to 30 degrees last night out here. So we did real good. No ice needed. Marinate's nice and strong. There we go. There they are. Marinated ribs. Alright, there we go. So we've got our smoker lit. The Ugly Duckin' smoker is going. And if you'd come over here and take a look for just a moment, you can see when in the video that we shot previously where we added the rack, that's where our water pan's going to go for our ribs. We've got our heat going. It's going a little slow, but we're going to give it a little bit of help in a minute here. I do want to show you this. Where did I put my pan? Oh, it's right there where I can't find it. Here's our water pan. Now, you can add water. You can add your favorite juices. You can add whatever you need to keep the moisture level up as you cook your ribs or your meats or whatever you're doing. We are going to recycle. We've got our marinade juice down there. We're just going to add marinade juice right to a little pan. If you like to recycle your pans, you can use a little cooking pan, or you can use, don't use your wife's new cooking pans because she might get mad, so don't do that. I dumped half of it in the bottom of the smoker, but that's all right, don't hurt nobody. More flavor. So there, we're recycling our marinade into our water pan. All right. So we don't have a lot of other steps to do. We prepped our ribs ahead of time, as you see earlier in the video. Last step we're going to do. So we're going to get started as far as putting our dry rub on. Before we do, I want to go through something that we have to do here. This smoker will not take 6 racks of ribs. And I think I told you about that earlier in the video, because if you look, we could lay 1, maybe 2 or 3. We could probably do 3. How are we going to put 6 on there? Well, we could use the lower level, but then we wouldn't be able to have a water pan in there so good, right? What's our next solution? I'm going to show you that in a minute. I came up with an idea. I brainstormed and trying to come up with an idea to make that work. And I think I got the solution. So, dry rub, you guys know how to do all this stuff. If you don't, get a shaker, use your hands, however you want to do it. I remember we pulled that silver skin off on the back side of these ribs so we could let that dry rub penetrate a little bit easier than you do if you leave the silver skin on. So our flavor should get in there. Now I usually with baby back ribs, or the ribs in general, I'm going to probably put my dry rub on about 15 minutes, maybe a half an hour at the very most, before I start cooking them. It's not required. You could put them on overnight if you wanted to. If you don't marinate, that's okay. You can do it. Remember how we talked about how the rules of barbecuing are your rules and only your rules? There's guidelines you can follow, but you do them how you want to do them. You make them taste the way you want them to taste, and you'll get great results every time, right? So we're going to fast forward through this part just a little bit. Again, it's pretty easy. If you wanted to, they call it a rub for a reason. Rub it in, pat it down, however you want to do it. So here's our last one, getting that dry rub on real nice and thick like. We're going through a heck of a lot more than I thought I would today, but that's a good thing because we can use it up then, right? You guys remember, well, if you didn't see the video yet, go check out the dry rub video that we did a little bit earlier, or maybe a little bit later, depending on when this one releases. But we have a dry rub video. We show you how we made this dry rub. Pretty cut and dry. Now, as I was discussing with you, we're going to run into a problem trying to fit all these racks on our smoker. So how in the heck are you going to do that? You can only fit 3 on that rack. And if I use the lower rack for the other half, I'm not going to be able to put the water pan in. So what do?
Wishing, pleading,
The
hope.
first thing you do is run around in circles, waving your arms in the air, going, ah! No, you don't do that. No, that's not how you do this. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to try a little bit of a technique, see how it works. If this works, I'll be a genius. If it doesn't, I'm going to waste 6 racks of ribs. I'm willing to take the gamble. You guys know El Kabong, right? Our 20-inch pan that we bought. So here's what we're going to do. We got El Kabong out here. We took El Kabong's handle off because he won't fit in the grill or the smoker if we leave him on.
Now it's just kind of owl.
Yeah, now it's just, yeah. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to try this, see how it works. We're going to take our ribs, make them into circles, and we're going to cook them in El Kabong, just like that. Okay? See how this goes. Now, in theory, this should be perfectly fine because we're not directly cooking these like you would, let's say, on a grill or on a like a griddle. Okay, we're cooking them and smoking. Yeah, slow and slow. So the theory is these should cook just fine, even though they're in a circle and there's a little bit of an overlap. So either this is going to be amazing and it's going to work, and I'm going to be patted on the back for this technique because I've never seen it before. Maybe somebody else does it, and if they have, let us know. Put a little link in the comments below, and we'll look it up and see if we're a genius or a jerk. Maybe a little bit of both, right? Who knows? So, the theory we have 6 racks of ribs. This 20-inch pan should fit because it fits on our 22-inch grill, which, again, if you watch our video about our barrel smoker, it tells you in there that we use a 22-inch grate for our smoker here. Yeah. All right, so we got our barrel smoker going. We got our nice fire burning down below, getting that charcoal nice and hot. Should be ready in just a few minutes. We've got our water pan added in there. That's going to give us a little bit of extra moisture as we're cooking along. And if you take a look here now, again, we've got all 6 of our racks skewered, rolled. They all fit inside El Kabong real nicely. Maybe I'll give them a little sprinkle, just a little bit of just to get that flavor. Now, throughout this cook, we're going to probably do these for about, I'm going to guess about 2 to 2.5 hours, depending on what temperature we end up cooking at. Again, you cook at the temperature you want. There's no set rule. I usually shoot for about 250, maybe 275 degrees. We'll go for about 2.5 hours, see how they're coming along, if their bones are pulling back and everything like that, like they're supposed to. We're going to take them off, we're going to wrap them, and then we won't have to have them rolled out like this because we can just stack them up when they're wrapped. Texas cheat style, you know that one, right? Right. So, we're going to add our grate. Normally this is the point where I'm going to put my grate in and I'm going to clean it and oil it. Since we're not doing direct contact with the food, we don't need to do that.
That would be heavy.
It is gonna be, oh jeez. You gotta take out a license to do this because it's so heavy. Now look at that. 6 racks of ribs fit in that smoker just beautifully, right? Whether they're gonna cook correctly or not, we're gonna wait to find out.
I know next time.
We'll come back on after about an hour-ish. We're gonna get our spritz together, put it in Misty. You guys met Misty before, right? Yeah. And we'll show you how things are going. So we got about an hour on these guys. They're going along nicely. Got a little smoke coming out yet. We've added a little more hickory to it, a little more apple. See how our ribs are doing.
Oh, nice color.
There we go. They're looking nice. Now you can see we're getting a lot of juice down in the pan in there that came out of our marinade. I don't think I'm going to add any more juice to that just because
the camera lens.
I mean, it's dripping, right? We got it going good. So
Camera
we're just going to leave that guy alone.
Again.
Okay. We'll check back in about an hour. If it needs a little more moisture, we'll give it to it. If it doesn't, we're just going to leave it as is and just keep smoking away. All right? Stay tuned. All right. So, as you can imagine, since our make-at-home smoker is not double insulated like your fancy dancies that you buy, not quite the same, but it's doing its job. These ribs have taken a little bit longer than they should have. And we're looking at about, they're probably in the neighborhood of 3.5 hours right now. They're cooking along nicely. We're going to take a look at them quick.
Whoa,
there you can see how those are cooking along nicely. You know, maybe not quite as fast as we had anticipated.
Nice catch.
Thank you. again, with the cold that we fight here in the north, it's the way it is. So we're okay with that. Now you can see there's still quite a bit of moisture in there. We know we got it good. Well, I tell you, stay. We're gonna just grab one of these out of here. And I'll show you what they look like. There we are. Take our stick out. This looks like a good place for a stick out. Alright, so as you can see, they're cooking along pretty well. The bones aren't quite pulling back the way we want them to, but they're getting close. But you can see that, I mean, the flavor looks to die for. I can't wait to try them. We're going to add just a little more rub, just to give us another enhancement of the flavors. Yeah, you like flavor, right?
Again.
I tell you, I'm the klutziest person in the world, but we're making it work. Yeah, there we go. Now you can see they're starting to pull back a little bit, so we're in good shape. Now, the other thing we want to do, and you don't have to do this. All right, so here's what we're going to do with these ribs. Normally you want to add some kind of a moisture to these when you're going to do the Texas cheat. We're going to use some of our Saskatoon barbecue sauce that we made in another video. We're going to just brush this right on there. A little Saskatoon-y. We'll put a little bit more on the other side. We like Saskatoon-y. Or Saskatchewan-y. You folks from Canada out there, we appreciate you guys. You make some great stuff for us to cook with. There's a little barbecue sauce. Alright, and then one other trick that I learned from some of the old guys that do barbecue, watching them on the TV.
YouTube,
TV, you know, wherever you like to watch. We're going to add a little bit of butter. And again, when this thing gets in the low and slow, this is going to help keep the meat, get a little moisture content. Okay.
you want a butter free?
I think so. There we are, and there's one wrap, and we're going to add a double wrap just to be sure that we got it right the first time. There we are. And we wrap them up like that. Okay. So we're going to do the rest of the racks, get them ready to go back on the smoker. Back in a minute. Next part. All right, so we did 3 with sauce, 3 without sauce. So we're going to stack them up on our smoker. Holy moly, the fire's burning good now. Oof.
Look at that burn.
Feel the burn.
Feels good right now.
Now the good thing about this is when we're doing them like this, we can stack them up. Temperature is the important thing. Holy cow, I'm going to put the lid on just to keep that down. That's got too much airflow. That's the problem. So here's our 3 with. Our 3 without. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Now without the grooves. There we go. See how quickly that flame went down? And there it comes again. So we're going to stack these boys up on there. There they are. 6 racks of ribs ready to be Texas cheat. Put the lid back on. So I think I forgot something. Maybe we put the probe in and then put the lid on, yeah?
Might help.
That might be a good idea. There we go. It's full of loving. Alright, so we got them on there. We're going to probably cheat them for about an hour. Probably in the neighborhood of 250, 300 degrees. We'll let them Texas cheat. We'll take them off and we'll show you the final results. Alright, so we pulled one of the racks off. We're going to check them out. Take a look at this. Now you can see how the bones are starting to pop out there real nicely. These might be just a little bit from done yet, but we're going to give them a shot and see how they are. Mostly because it's getting dark and we ain't going to be able to see too much longer to shoot video. I got a taste tester around here somewhere. Hey John, where'd you go? Hey. Come on over here for a minute. Need your help. Give that a shot, see what you think. They're really hot, so.
Wonderful. Beautiful.
So, you take a look at this rib right here, you can see we got a nice smoke ring in there. We got a little bit of bark on the outside. Everything's the way it should be. You can see again the ribs are pulling back. They're just a hair underdone to what I like them to be, but they're, like I said, we've been fighting the temperatures out here, but we're doing a good, you know, things are coming out the way they should be. So, we're going to get these all cut up and get the feed on for everybody, okay? Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you tuning in. If you like the channel, please subscribe. We'd love to get to 1,000 subscribers so we can start doing our live videos with our question and answers. Is going to be called Under the Learning Tree, where you can type your messages in the chat, share your knowledge, we'll share ours, and everybody can learn from each other. Don't forget to like the video, hit that notification button, mash that thing, get all notifications so you know next time Regular Guy Barbecue puts up a new video. Thanks for joining us. Take care, everybody.